Willie the Bam Johnson. Good morning. Hope you're having a great day. I want to talk to you about street combat, predators defense concepts. An idea that came to me when I was locked down and I was going through that cleansing process to change my life. I knew immediately that something was wrong with me because of martial arts and how I was brought up in the environment. Yeah, things probably was bad, but people did set an example of what was right and what was wrong. I knew better. Their actions probably didn't totally support their words, but they did their best with what they had. My parents included and everyone around me in the environment. But I realized that something was wrong, and that's when Stronger Than Drugs came, because I knew I needed to share that story with another generation so they wouldn't make the same mistakes. But on a combative level, I realized that, you know, people weren't being real about the current state of the streets or violence. And maybe that was because a lot of people didn't go to it and study it from the inside out. And that's what I did. I began to write down everything I did, how I was successful, how I, got caught, and what I did to stand up for myself and break out of fights. And the first thing I wrote when I first came home was called the Street Combat Manual and the Wushudo Manual. The Wushudo Manual actually became the Complete Martial Artist book. The Street Combat Manual, when I first started teaching at the Karate College, no one had manuals. So every seminar I taught, it was a requirement for people to leave that seminar with that manual. Because I realized that through my years of studying, people can talk a lot, I love to read, man. I love to read. But I realized that one of the things that you can do to really help a person is give them something visual, something audio, they view on TV, which we have now with our DVDs, but also something to read. Because when you start reading, you start really internalizing. And when you start underlining, you start studying. And the Complete Martial Artist book, like I said, was one of my manuals called the Wushudo Manual. But I want to talk to you about this Street Combat Predators Defense Manual. Predator, the P is for protect. The R is for redirect. E is for avoid. D, defend. A, anticipate. T, train. O, overcome. R, restrain. Predator. That's the meaning of the predator. What I wanted to do in this book was teach you the commandments of street combat. We talk about the mindset of the predator, but we also talk about that first commandment. And we got the street slangs in here. But let's go deep into the first commandment. Being aware of your surroundings. In jail, it was either live or die. I had to be aware of that prison cell. I had to make the best of that environment. I had to flow and adapt to my present situation. And that's what made me not commit suicide and begin to adapt and use the things within my environment for those 23 hours of being locked down and for that 1 hour being out. But when I came out, I realized also I had to be careful about how I looked at people. I had to be careful of the body language, the energy that I was sending off. Even in close neural situations of being chained down and walking side by side with a person, I had to be aware of that. But that was no different of me being that little kid and showing confidence in his brand and wanting to be like Bruce Lee. That little kid in that movie theater seeing Bruce Lee and Chinese Connection and sitting there, wondering what was going on, but all of a sudden sitting up and walking around and confidently saying what he wanted to do. People don't show you how to hustle, how to get paid, or how to commit a crime. You either walk out and you are committed to faking it till you make it, and then eventually you make it and you ain't got to fake it no more because you are a reflection of that body language that you, and that's what happens. Being aware of your surroundings allowed me to be able to see what's going on in my environment. It allows me to see how the guy's looking at me over here, or what the possibilities are over here. And when I walk into my office building, what's the energy of the people, how are people looking. When when I walk into the martial arts school or walk into a class setting? What is the environment of the students? Am I watching them as they walk through the door? That's so important. Being aware of, it's no different than being in the house and checking all the doors before you go to bed. Making sure everything's locked up. Making sure the stove is turned off. All those things are part of my environment. That second principle, walking your post in a perfect manner, that's how we bow, how we shake hands, how we make eye contact, how we throw a punch, how we kick. Technique. There's a technique to how you fix that tie. There's a technique to how you shake that hand. There's a technique for how we look at each other in our eyes. There's a technique for being respectful. I say, even through being aware of my environment, and I see adults, and I was always brought up by saying, thank you, sir, thank you, ma'am, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And the people in my environment said, no, don't call me that, don't do that. But I have to be aware of the end result that I want. I want to be respected, so I got to give respect. So guess what? I have to make sure that I'm saying yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, and shaking hands in a respectful manner so I can be able to exert me, I can express me. I'm not going to let my environment dictate how I take charge of my post and express myself. Just like when I was locked up, I didn't let that concept of being a product of my environment dictate who I am or who I was going to become, because if I did, I would still be there today. No. I became aware of the environment that I came up in. I became aware of my body language and the post, all on a conscious level. When I use the term conscious, I'm talking about digging deep down inside yourself. You working from the core, 3 inches below the belly button, the cheek. And I'm allowing that to really be that light that allows me to be able to look at everything from that point, to let it move me and guide me and show me what I need to do to become a better person. Then we add that third component in, taking charge of your body language, your attitude on a conscious level. Regardless of what is going on and what has happened in your life, just like being in a fight, you can't get mad and get upset and get angry and get egotistical. You got to remain calm. You got to take charge of that state. I don't want to be fighting a bull and running head on. I want to counter that head on motion. Or sidestepping. Maybe the bull might run into the wall and I can come up behind him and do something. Or maybe I can just run and get away. I don't want to just keep on boom and boom and boom and boom and boom. That's insanity. Insanity is repeating the same old things, expecting different results. Especially if those same old things have brought you negative consequences. Don't keep doing the same old thing. You got to take charge and make a decision. So we have those 3 principles of street combat. The 18 principles. The commandments of street combat. 1, being aware of your surroundings. 2, walking your post in a perfect manner. Staying consciously aware of everything around you. 3, taking charge of your attitude, your spirit, and your body language on a conscious level. Remember, we strive for consciousness. If we can hold on to truly developing our conscious awareness in everything that we do, subconsciously, we won't have to put forth the effort to do it. It becomes a natural process of what we do. But it got to start on a conscious level. So then your subconscious mind will respond in a loving and caring way. That's why I have been able to change my life. But it's a daily reprieve, contingent upon your spiritual maintenance, your conscious development each and every second of the day. Street Combat Manual.